Hello. In this C++ programming video, I will be covering logical operators. These operators let you combine multiple conditions into a single decision. If you want your program to check if a number is between two values or if either condition is true, logical operators are the tool for the job. So, what are logical operators? Well, logical operators work with Boolean expressions, like the ones from relational operators, and return either true or false. There are three logical operators in C++. First is the logical and this is denoted with two ampersands. That is true if both conditions are true. Next is the logical or, which is denoted with two vertical bars. This is true if at least one condition is true. And then finally is the logical not. This inverts a condition, so true becomes false and false becomes true. So let us try a basic program here. So as you can see on the screen, I'm initializing x and y to be 10 and 20 respectively. And then after that is our first logical operator. So this is an example of and. So here we're printing out whether x is greater than 5 and if y is greater than 15. So since both conditions are true, that's going to output the result of true, which will print 1. Next is if x is greater than 15 or y is greater than 15. X is not greater than 15, but y is, so 1 is enough here. So false or true is equal to true, or 1. And then finally, an example of the not operator, or complement. So 10 is not equal to 20, so that's false, but the inverse of false is equal to true, so that also outputs 1. So let us compile this example, called x1, and let us run it. So as we can see, it outputs 1, 1, and 1. Alright, so let us look at our second example here. So this one is using logical operators in conditions. So first, we are initializing an age. Then we are prompting the user for an age. And then finally, we are reading the age from the user input, just like the last video. But here, in our condition, we are checking for two things. We are checking to see if the person is of working age. So this requires more than just seeing if the user is over 18, because once you get old enough, you're obviously not at working age. So for this example, I put 65. In other words, if you are at least 18 to 65, you are of working age. So we are checking the ages between 18 and 65 inclusive. If that's the case, we output the message if it's true. Otherwise, you're either too old or young, or retired. And then we end with success status. So let us do a couple runs here. But first, let's compile and run our program. So first, I'm going to say I am 10 years old. At that point, it is telling me I am either too young or retired. If I run the program again and I say I am 20, it says I'm at working age. If I run it again for a third time and I say I am 70, then we'll go back to saying I'm either too young or retired. The next example we're going to do is about the OR operator. So here we're going to have a temperature example. So the temperature, we're going to initialize a variable. We're going to prompt the user for the temperature, and we are going to read it from the user input. Here we're seeing if the temp is less than 0 or the temp is greater than 35. And this is Celsius, right? So a temperature cannot be freezing and hot at the same time. So but both would be categorized as extreme weather, right? So in this case we need an or. So if it's either freezing or very hot, we need to let the user know. Otherwise, we print out the output message if it's false. And then we return a success status. So let us compile our third example program here. And run it for the first time. So let's say that the temperature is -1. In that case, we have an extreme weather warning. If we run it again, and we say it is 10 degrees, temperature is normal. And if we run it for a third time, and we say that the temperature is 100, well, that was a mistake. Let me rerun it. Enter the temperature, 100. It is an extreme weather warning. Okay, let us now look at our final example using the not operator. So here we are saying that we're initializing a variable to check to see if it's raining. So we're setting that to false right now. If it's not raining, because that's using the logical not or complement, we want to tell the user that they don't need an umbrella. Otherwise, if it is raining, the user should bring an umbrella. And then we return 0 to return the success status. So once that's all saved, let us do the final compilation of this video. We're going to call it example 4. And then we're going to run it. So if it's not raining, it says you do not need an umbrella. A little technical bug there. But if we set it to true, I need to recompile. Once that's compiled, let's run it again. Now it says you should take an umbrella. So, as a quick recap, in this episode we learned how to use the logical and, or, and not. We learned how to combine multiple relational expressions. We also learned how to write more complex conditions with clear intent. And then we went through some examples that illustrate some common use cases for each logical operator. If you found this tutorial helpful, do not forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. Reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, thank you for watching and have a great day.